All righty, folks. When should you consolidate debt? Is there a cash out refi that makes sense? Matt, the mortgage guy, has a comment with some details. We're going to go through the numbers. And I have a sneaky suspicion we may not agree, which is totally okay. So you can see both sides of it. Matt, what's the comment? What are the details?
Yeah, I'm going to read this comment. And before I do, I think most people that know me know that I am not a refinance for the sake of refinance. I'm not trying to smoke and mirror and talk somebody into doing something. Mm-hmm. But something, when I read this comment this morning, Mike, I felt something that was emotional. It was more than just black and white math. And so I'll read the comment. I'll go through some math, and then you can agree or disagree. I'd love to hear from the ORAC community. You leave it down in the comments what you think too, because I think this is a good conversation that a lot of people are having. At the very least, they should be having.
Sure. Go ahead.
So YouTube comment on a YouTube video I made that was debt consolidation or pay off debt. Hey, Matt, I'm considering a cash out refi to consolidate debt. We have about $75,000 worth of debt and pay well over $2,000 a month in payments combined. And that's just the debt stuff. That's not the mortgage.
Right. Yep.
Current mortgage balance is $230,000 at 3.875, 30-year term, closed it in July of 2019. I haven't officially had my home appraised, but according to Zillow, my home is worth about $410,000. Do you think it's worth doing a cash out refi to wipe out our high interest consumer debt? Thanks. And again, this video that I made, I was telling people in the video, I like, as I'm reading the comments, it pulls up the video and the video plays. In the video, I'm saying 9 out of 10 people that call me, I tell you not to refinance. Like that's literally what I'm saying in the video. As I read this morning, and we've all seen the charts, $1.2 trillion in consumer debt. And quite honestly, to be transparent and a little bit vulnerable, my business has slowed down. I've felt the weight of inflation and what, less income and more bills feels like. So like, as these things are happening to consumers, and I'm having these conversations every day, I think that I'm trying to raise my own EQ and say like, how does this make people feel? The honest truth, and leave it in the comments, ORAC community, is that it is sometimes crippling. It is something that affects your mental health and well-being to have a large number, in this case, $75,000 in 19, 22, 26% interest debt. And so we can do the math. And in the past, I've been like, hey guys, it's black and white. 3.875 first, leave it alone. If you need to do a HELOC, do that. For some people, the fix that a refinance can provide, even if black and white, it's not like what the math says is the ideal situation.
Well, let's do the math. You're a finance guy. So do me a favor. Again, I'm taking notes. So what is a payment? And again, we'll just do principal and interest. $230,000 at 3.875. What is the payment on that?
I did that, and that's $1,148 P&I.
And if we assume they go back to a cash out refi and they get 300, if you want to go 305, you could do that.
You know what I did, Mike? Because I want to look at this realistically. I did 315, which is getting them 75,000 out. It's paying closing costs.
Okay.
And it's probably generous. It probably, nets them 78, but I'd rather err on the side of caution. That payment is at 6.875. So you're cashing out, you're paying all the fees, you're getting 75, maybe 78,000 cash out. That payment is $2,135 P&I. So it's almost exactly $1,000 more. All
right. So mathematically, it makes sense, right? You're basically taking $2,000 a month going out, and you're making it $1,000. You are taking that debt and putting it on a secured asset versus unsecured. It's now the term is longer. There's all kinds of things, but this is where I go when I have conversations with this. I don't know who this is, don't know them, but I've heard this question 1,000 times. And this is the unfortunate reality of being an American consumer. If you don't fix the behavior that got you into $75,000 in debt, don't you dare do this. Right? Because if you do this, you're going to tell yourself you're $1,000 on the good. Your credit card balances are going to be zero. And if you're like everybody else, you're going to run up 75 and shoot, you'll probably run up 90,000 next time. And this is why we have 1.2 trillion in debt. This is why debt is higher than ever. Unless you are going to cut up the credit cards, flush them down the toilet, burn them in ashes, pay cash for everything, you're going to be like everybody else. And in 6 months or 12 months, you'll have 25K and then 40K and then 60K. It'll feel good for a moment, but you will be farther and farther behind. That's just the reality.
Right. And that's the truth about it. That's why the home ownership net worth metrics that people talk about, an average homeowner is 40x more net worth than a renter. It's because of the forced savings. It's because as consumers, we can't help ourselves. If there's $380 left at the end of the month, it finds a home. And so, I'm not a believer in Dave Ramsey and every single thing he says, but having a plan for your dollars is one of his teachings, and it's absolutely correct, right? If you if you do this refinance and you're telling yourself I got an extra 1,000, don't spend that extra 1,000 plus more. Here's a cool thing to look at, Mike. If best case scenario, you are this person in this scenario, and you make a change and you say, I don't need to eat out 14 times a month. I don't need to, you cut subscriptions. You do whatever it takes to fix the problem that caused you this debt. If mortgage plus 2,000 in credit card debts in this person's scenario, maybe it's $3,100 a month. If you did the cash out refinance, the principal and interest on the new one is 21, and you're saving 1,000 is the what we're assuming here. Guess what happens, Mike, when you throw that extra 1,000 at the principal of the new mortgage?
How much does it fall off? How fast?
You pay it off in 155 months. So
wow, just over
13 years.
Wow, so under 15. Okay.
Yeah, and so that's the best case. But like you said, unfortunately, bad habits are hard to break, and whatever got you into $75,000 in credit card debt, I've got empathy for people. Everything's more expensive. And, if you've got kids, if you've got an aging parent you're taking care of, if there's anything in your life that you're providing groceries, like everything is more expensive. Everything. Food's more expensive. Services are more expensive. Any kind of entertainment you partake in is more expensive. And so easier said than done. But I think what I wanted to bring up here was this person who might be told from one version of me, like, don't do this refinance, get a plan together and start chunking this extra $1,000 a month, get a side job and pay off that debt. It could really, really, be a mental health detriment.
Well, you got to, this is a pretty extreme example, right? Their unsecured debt is roughly 1/3 of their mortgage, right? 75 to 230. This is where you start to get on the edge of, it does make financial sense, but there's a lot of people. I want to be very clear here. If you have $15,000 or $20,000 in debt and not 75, I'll be very clear. You're a moron to do a cash out refi to get rid of 15 or 20,000 in debt.
Yeah, and that's what more often than not, all the California stuff I look at, you've got a mortgage of $545,000 at 3.1%. There's almost nothing that's going to justify doing a cash out refinance. But like you said, in this case, you've got credit card debt that's 1/3 of the mortgage debt, and you're going 3,875 to 6,875. Definitely not the worst thing in the world. And, and that's why I said this at the event. And, shout out to anybody who I chatted with at the event. What a great event you threw in Vegas. I think as great as the first event was, I think you did, outdo yourself and made event 2 better. The surprised guests, Graham Stephan being there, that was super cool. But at that event, I tried to get, the point across to everybody. Every single person's scenario is different. Purchase, refinance, anything you're looking at. You can't get any sort of blanket advice. Never refinance. Always, or never pay points. There's never a set answer that works for everybody. You've got to look at your scenario, because some people, Mike, I've had come to me. I've got a 3% mortgage. I've been told I shouldn't, get rid of that. How much do you owe on that mortgage? 55 grand. What are you looking to do? Pull 250,000 out for an ADU? I'm like, well,
hello. Yeah.
cash out refinance, right? You're pulling out 5 times the debt of what you owe. So what your interest rate is on that 55 grand is almost,
it doesn't matter. So
right. Yeah. And that person would mistakenly be like, I got to leave that 3% alone. I'm gonna go get 10% money, pull a HELOC and go build that ADU. So personalized advice is the moral of the story, whether it's me and my team at greatmortgagebroker.com, whether it's, somebody local who's in your market who you like and trust. You need to put all your cards on the table, have a good conversation, whether it's purchase or refinance, and then get that personalized advice. What I like to do with people, and I've been doing more of this lately, Mike, because I realize even what I think is the best answer, sometimes people have their own ideas, is I'm in the business of presenting options and ideas. Yeah. And especially if there's more than one party involved, I tell them not to answer me on a Zoom call, not to answer me on a phone call. Go home. You guys discuss this amongst yourselves. Inevitably, there's going to be some questions. Fire those back at me. Let me know what you guys are thinking about based on your conversations. You might want to see, well, what if we did 10% down? What if we did, pull some money from this account that we thought we weren't going to touch? And how would that mortgage look like versus the 5%? All these things are individualized scenarios and advice, whether it's purchase or refinance.
I love it. Again, greatmortgagebroker.com. Go there. If you have something, you give them a quote from a body shop or a call center, definitely reach out, get a comparison. There are times where cash out refis make sense, debt consolidation, but there are other times it just does not. Greatmortgagebroker.com. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Mike.